evening, everyone. It is Thursday evening and it is 6:30. And if it is Thursday evening at 6:30, we know what that is, right? It is story time. And I see that I'm hoping that we're all live. If you're out there, please say hi to me. Let me know that you're there, that you're watching. Um, Always kind of nice to know that I've got some kind of an audience out there um, when I'm doing my story time. I've got one person watching. Um, it is a bit nippy outside. I have Hi Paul. I have I'm out in my little office. Hi Dawn. Hi Jade. Hi Stella. I'm in my little shed and it is it's a very, very comfortable time in here. Hi, Ed. Hi, Donna. Um, it's comfortable in here. It's cold outside. My little Alexa says that it's 21 degrees outside. Now my Alexa's going to start to talk to me. Um, but we're all in here where it's nice and comfortable and warm. I hope you all are snuggled up. And I've got my Irish tea in my Singapore mug sent to me from my very good friend Eric a long time ago. Our story tonight is going to be Rocks in My Pockets. Now, this is another one of those books. I have been lucky that I have different friends who watch me do story time, and so they help me out and they will bring me books at different times. Hi Ron. And give them to me so that I have material to be able to do my story time. That way I don't have a whole lot of money that I have to put out. I do buy some of my own books, but it's always nice when somebody can help me out. um, but this book is called Rocks in My Pockets, and my friend Peggy Lang was the one who gave me this book. So I'm very, very grateful for that. It is by Mark Harshman and Bonnie Collins, illustrated by Tony Goff. And Bonnie Collins is actually from West Virginia. So that's pretty cool. So this is a book from West Virginia. To start at the beginning, the Woods family lived on a farm on top of the highest mountain in these parts, away up where the wind is your neighbor all year round. The farm was old rocky soil, but it was the best the family could afford, and so they worked out on a living any way they could. Look at that wind. That poor little house gets beaten and battered every day from that wind, doesn't it? They'd raise knee-high corn and walnut-side potatoes and call them a good crop. You'd hear no complaints. Their house was drafty, their animals skinny, their clothes patched out of whatever was at hand. But one thing they all did have was pockets, and that was mighty important, for in their pockets they carried the rocks. Rocks? Yes, rocks. There they are with the knee-high corn and those little walnut-sized potatoes. That house looks a little drafty, definitely. Every morning, when they'd set out to work, Father and Mother, Grandpa and Tommy and Jenny, Father would always say, "Be sure you put some rocks in your pockets now. Put them rocks in your pockets or the wind will be likely to blow you away." And he was right, for the wind did blow fierce across their mountaintop fields. So Father and Mother and Grandpa and Tommy and Jenny would pick all rocks and carry them in their pockets off into the fields. And not a one of them was ever blown away. The rocks were a lot of fun, too. Tommy and Jenny would often play patch with them or hide and find games. And even Mother and Father and Grandpa would frequently worry the stones around in their pockets. Just good to know they're there, Grandpa would say. Who knows where my old dry bones would be set up if that wind got hold of me. I don't know. I don't think I want to be throwing a rock around. My luck, somebody throw a rock at me, I'd miss. In the evening after supper, Grandpa or Mother or Father would often tell a story they remembered from the early days. As the tales were told, you might see one or the other of them rubbing one of the rocks in their hands. In the cold of winter, these same rocks would be set in the fire and then taken out and wrapped in heavy socks to lay between the covers when they're cold. They were, as any of the family could have told you, mighty handy rocks. Grandpa looks like he was dancing. And can you see Father and Mother and the kids have their rocks in their hands? And then they're getting them ready for bed, warming up the bed sheets so your feet don't get cold. There was always a heap of them, smooth and slick, strewn by the chimney, gleaming from all the rubbing and polishing they got. But once, after a hard winter and a miserable spring, the rocks became more than handy. They became, well, you'll see. One day, in early summer, a couple of high fancy ladies from the city came by looking for antiques, looking for what might impress their neighbors. They kind of look highfalutin, don't they? But the Woodses didn't have much in the way of antiques. Nope. Father Woods said they didn't have anything to sell. But just then, one of the ladies noticed the pile of rocks by the chimney. My, but aren't those beautiful? Exclaimed one. Indeed, echoed the other. And they were kind of pretty, slick as glass, bright as stars, with colors in 'em just showed right through. Well, well, we've never seen stones like this before. What kind are they? Asked the first. Well, I don't really know them by name. They're just plain old rocks. Would you sell them to us? Well, I don't really have any reason to sell them to you. Oh, but we'd pay you a fair price. They're kind of rare now, aren't they? Well, Father Woods began to catch on to them, and he said, well, yes, maybe they are. You don't see many of this kind where you come from, I guess. What would you take for them? The ladies asked sweetly. And then he told them a reasonable price, and they paid him. And were these ladies ever thrilled? From the way they talked, there wouldn't be anybody in all of Pittsburgh or New York or wherever they came from that had stones just like these. Pretty good. So they went back to their homes, put their stones on display, and they bragged about them. That night after supper, Father said, well, the corn's big enough to hoe in the morning, but before you kids go out, find a bunch of new rocks and get 'em into your pockets. Bring some back for Mom and Grandpa, and then we'll all grab us some more later. Who knows? We might be in the rock selling business. There's the ladies. They got them all fancy and showing them to all their friends and their neighbors. And there's Dad. He's sitting at the table telling them to get rocks for their pockets. And that was true enough. Folks started coming from cities and towns near and far. The money the Woods family made from those rocks drove the hard times from their door for good. Now they didn't give up farming on their mountaintop, but it was easier with a little extra money to have more feed for the animals, warmer clothes, and so on. Look at all those people. They got some new clothes. But of course, there were people who tried to take advantage. They would come out from the cities and ask around about those stones. They'd tell Father Woods that those by the chimney weren't quite right, and they'd ask him if he knew where they might find some similar ones. Father Woods, being an honest man, would tell them. And those folks, eyes as big as slab-sided sandstones, would go gather up a heap of field rocks. They thought they were awfully clever not having to pay Father Woods that way. But of course, those rocks never quite shone the way the ones in the chimney corner did, and nobody back in the city was ever impressed by them either. And those folks that took them will never figure out why. Boy, some people don't look too happy. I think they might have gotten into some trouble. What do you think? I guess they never lived on top of the highest mountain. Never carried those rocks in their pockets all day long, hoeing, stooping, spring, summer, fall, and winter. Never played pass with them. Never curled under a blanket with those rocks nestled between your feet. Never sat around a fireplace rubbing those rocks while the old stories about hard work and patience filled their heads. Nope, bet they never did. All that planting, and there's the rocks by their feet, and telling stories, having all their rocks. Even the animals had rocks. But I have, and these rocks in my pocket still keep my feet on the ground, even in the windiest weather. And that's the end of our story. I'm glad this is one of your favorite parts of the evening, Dawn. That's awesome. I hope the girls are doing well. We'll be back next week on Thursday, and we'll have another story. We'll be at 6:30. Also, please join us on Sunday mornings at 10 o'clock online on this channel. If I do leave it up on here, but I also move it to the Amity Facebook page and also the Powhatan Amity Facebook page. And I've also been putting them onto YouTube as of late because of the district committee wanting to see some of the stuff that we do. So I hope you all are well. I hope you stay well. My prayers are with all of you. I know that there are some folks out there that aren't feeling too good and they're dealing with a lot of stuff. I know the kids are struggling with school. I hope that you know that I'm here with you. I'm praying for you. And if you need anything, you can always give me a shout. I'll do what I can. So have a great evening. Love you all. Bye bye.